All right. Here's your homework on angles and can you convert between radians and degrees. So 140 degrees, how do we convert that to radians? So there's a simple ratio. So it's 140 times pi over 180. Keep pi in your answer, reduce the fraction down, and you have 7 pi over 9. Negative 75 pi over 180. Again, reduce it down, the answer is negative, and it's 5 pi over 12. 190 multiplied by pi over 180. Reduce the fraction down, 19 pi over 18. Always keep the answer with pi in it and as a fraction, not ever as a rounded decimal. Here we go, 312 pi over 180. Reduce the fraction down and you get 26 pi over 15. Negative 65 pi over 180. Again, reduce the fraction down and you get negative 13 pi over 36. Negative 225, that's pi over 180. Reduce it down and it's negative pi over 5 pi over 4. So simple ratio, simple multiplying, just reduce the fraction down. Keep pi in the answer, keep the answer as a fraction, not decimals. All right, number 7, can you go the other direction? What happens if I need to convert from radians to degrees? And it's the reciprocal. So now the ratio is 180 over pi. Notice how the pi's will divide out. And then it says 3 times 180 divided by 5. So that's 108 times 180 over pi. And again, the pi's divide out, then you divide, and you get negative 70. Again, 180 over pi. The pi's divide out. You get 200. Number 10. 180 over pi. Again, the pi's divide out. The answer is negative 324 degrees. Pi's divide out, and you get negative 165. Pi's divide out, and you get 675. Number 13. 195. So can you give two coterminal angles for each angle, one positive and one negative? So if we have an angle that's in degrees, if we want a coterminal angle, we're going to add 360. If it's negative, we're going to subtract 360. So when you draw the angle, they are two angles that have the same terminal side, but are a different size. So for 195, add 360. And then for 195, subtract 360. Both of these are coterminal. One's a positive angle and one's a negative angle. Same thing here, 319, add 360. And then take 319 and subtract 360. So in this case, again, we're going to add 360. And we're going to subtract 360. For radians, we're going to use 2 pi instead of 360. So 3 pi over 2 plus 2 pi, so it's radian plus radian. You need common denominators. So times 5, top and bottom, and you get 13 pi over 5. Same thing, but this time we're going to subtract 2 pi. Again, with common denominators, that would be 10 pi over 5. And then that would be negative 7 pi over 5. So 11 pi over 7. We're going to add 2 pi. And with common denominators, that would be 14 pi over 7. So that would be 25 pi over 7. And then we're going to subtract 2 pi. Again, with common denominators, it would be 14 pi over 7. And that would give you negative 3 pi over 7. One more time. Again, we need common denominators, so 2 pi will be 12 pi over 6. So that's what, 31 pi over 6. And then we're going to subtract 2 pi. So when you subtract 2 pi, you get negative 12 pi over 6. So that one isn't negative yet, so you could subtract 12 pi over 6 again and get negative 5 pi over 6. All right, so that's radians and degrees and the homework for that. Mr. G Math.